5:30 p.m. I ask Pastor Chad if he would come and deliver our invocation, followed by the pledge.
Precious Heavenly Father, we thank you today for allowing us to come and be a part of this great government, God, that you have established here in Lynn Haven, Florida. Father God, we ask you, God, to give us the wisdom, to give us the knowledge, God, to direct this community, God, in the affairs, God, that would please you in tomorrow. Father, for we know that you hold the greatest wisdom. We know that you hold the greatest knowledge. You don't just see yesterday, God, but you see tomorrow. And we ask you, God, to give every one of these commissioners, these citizens, this mayor, God, the wisdom and the integrity that they need to lead this city in the ways of the Lord for tomorrow. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we have public commentary. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, Christy McElroy, Port St. Joe. A little curious, I want to make sure I've got the number right, and I understand y'all had a budget meeting, and the debt is over 50 million, is that correct? Yes, I got a confirmation. I want to ask you, have you thought about the people that pled guilty to federal crimes against this city due to the fact that, you know, some of them had to pay restitution, but if you've thought about filing civil lawsuits against these people, they still have a lot of assets. They're still out there working. I pulled some LLC holdings, and I'm going to hand it to a few of you. I'm not going to call it out, not at this meeting, but it does concern me about some of the relationships from a commission perspective, as well as more of a global perspective of who the city does business with. Because that $5 million didn't just belong to Lynn Haven. It belonged to everyone that pays into the federal system. And I'd like to see you guys recoup some of that money if you're over $50 million in debt. I think that's the right thing to do. And there are a lot of those people. They're buying homes and out with businesses that are highly functional, and they're making a lot of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Jerry Parker, Rent Place. I find it awful disturbing that no one has responded to James Finch's $75,000 offer for the splash pads. I think it's rude. I think it's unprofessional. I think somebody should say, no, we don't want your offer. We are trying other things, but at least respond to the man. The man has done a lot for this city, and he's given hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds. So I think you should at least respond to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Yes, ma'am.
Lauren with Coastal Waste and Recycling. First, we are grateful for the opportunity to work side by side the business owners of Lynn Haven. We appreciate the implementation of a scoring system to ensure the City of Lynn Haven selects the best waste hauler for the contract. This being one of the largest contracts the city has, it's important to the commissioners here today and the community that we understand the scoring criteria to help maintain integrity and the transparency of the process. To vote solely based on a score without understanding where the score was founded isn't fair to the commissioners here or to the business owners of Lynn Haven. The RFP does call for a two-part process. We asked the council to request presentations from the 3 top-ranked companies. I understand this matter is time sensitive, But given the importance of the vote and the impact it will have on the business owners in Lynn Haven, I urge you the opportunity to present. Integrity is something most of you had highlighted in your biographies. Integrity is one of our core values too. It's something we can connect on. Coastal truly cares about the communities it serves, even when no one's looking. The competitors ahead of us today are the same competitors I see every day in our market. I can't speak to what or if they're doing anything for those communities, but let me just share with you a little bit about what Coastal is currently doing to make a difference in Bay County. We participate and sponsor 4 veteran luncheons annually. We stuff backpacks for the Boys and Girls Club of Bay County. We stuff the bus for Christmas. We stop in and do arts and crafts at Girls Inc. We're not just a part of the Chamber of Commerce, we're an ambassador. We sit on the board of Bay Building Industry Association. We help support Anchorage Children's Home. We sponsor teams and complexes. We host free football clinics. We initiated and led the inaugural youth sports equipment swap meet. These are just a few of the things we have our hands in, let alone the donations we make to sponsor local events and nonprofits. It's more than just walking in a parade, but we do that too. Isn't it worth hearing presentations so that you all feel confident that you've chosen the right company to rebuild, grow, and prosper Lynn Haven, as well as serving as the city as a competitive rate? How can we possibly encapsulate the details needed by just a score given in a proposal with words and letters and pictures? Let the people who are gonna come here every day and do the work present to your team, and you make the decision. This is a unique city. It's more than a tourist town. Lynn Haven deserves a company that really cares. Our team has served Bay County for 30+ years. We're not just a garbage service provider, we're your garbage service partner. We thank you for the time today and just ask that you really consider allowing the top 3 qualified to present to the council so you feel confident in the decision you have to make for the city of Lynn Haven. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? If not, we'll move on to the mayor's report. We begin with proclamation. Whereas Revelation 21:4 says, "And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away." And whereas it has pleased Almighty God to take unto himself Yolanda Monet Champlain to soon be our measure, but according to his perfect will. And whereas Yolanda was a lifetime member of her local church, a member of the church youth department, youth choir, and all other youth-related activities under the direction of Sharon Sheffield. And whereas Yolanda was a teacher in Port St. Joe, Jenks Middle School in Panama City, and Atlanta Public Schools for 32 years. And whereas Yolanda was also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. And whereas our hearts are heavy, yet we must trust God to be the hope he has promised. And whereas we hereby offer our sincere condolences to the grieving family and friends at the time of their loss. Now therefore, by the virtue and authority vested in me as mayor of City of Lynn Haven, on behalf of the City Commission, all citizens of Lynn Haven, do hereby declare June 28th, 2023 as Yolanda Monet Champlain Day, and witness wherever I hereby set my hand and cause the official seal of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida to be affixed this 27th day of June 2023. In regards to my report, I'll keep it brief and have a more extended report at the first meeting in July. Today, City Manager, Chief Ricky Ramey, others from the infrastructure departments, as well as myself, had a chance to give Congressman Dunn a tour of our progress and also the prospective things that we hope to do in the future. And so it was very informative. He was very impressed at the progress that we've been able to make and the things that we've been able to implement. And so we just have we'll have more on that at the next meeting. Commissioner Peebles.
This past 2 weeks were a lot of fun, I gotta say. This past Saturday, the pickleball courts were opened up at the sports complex, and I was there at 9 o'clock when they opened, and they were already packed out. I mean, there were so many people there that there were people waiting in line to use them. They had a little board on the fence of a rotation of people that were playing. And I think the biggest takeaway from that is that although it's awesome to make sure we have things for families or children, we also need to continue to know that there are people above the age of 18 that would like activities too, and the pickleball courts was awesome for that. It shows that there's people in our community that want to use it. And a lot of the people that were there said that they actually live in Lynn Haven and had been driving to Callaway and Liddell and other places, and they're excited to be able to not drive as far and enjoy the courts. And it was really awesome because they were really into it. They're like measuring the nets and making sure that it was like up to spec for tournaments and stuff. It was awesome. It was really fun to see. I also want to thank the staff. These past 2 weeks, they took me on a tour for the waste management plant. I'm glad I'm not afraid of heights, because walking across that thing was it was a bit intimidating. But I had no idea all the type of things that went on there. I looked in a microscope at how all that and all the science behind it. It was awesome. Went to the water treatment plant, and growing up your whole life, people just think you turn on the spigot and it's magic and water appears, but there's a lot that goes on behind it. As Commissioner Vandergrift talked about, the software that they use there is awesome, and I'm happy that we voted to upgrade the SCADA there as well, because it's really impressive what goes on there. And I got a tour around the fire station. That was really neat to see the Fire Station 1, talk to the chief, and learn more and more about how the fire department does more than just fire, but also fields. About 90% of their calls are actually EMS related. And they told me that they were one of the first cities, if not the first city in Bay County, to integrate emergency management into the fire staff as a hybrid. I also got to tour where the police are at the police station, got to meet a lot of them and see how I'm sure they're excited to move into the new building, how they're cramped up with the dispatch, and it was nice to meet all of them, and I got to meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of the department heads as well and learn more and more about the city. It was a lot of fun. So thanks to everyone that took time out of their schedule to meet with me and teach me more about the city and how it runs, and it's a lot of fun, so thank you. And I've seen some of the banners coming up for the veterans banners. They look awesome. I'm looking forward to looking at the map to find out where my grandfather's is and show my mom. It's going to be a lot of fun. But all right, and I think that's all I have. A long list this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be at a meeting tomorrow for the St. Joe Bay, St. Andrews Bay Estuary program at 1 o'clock at Florida State. I'd like to put the cart before the horse and thank our entire city staff, having seen what y'all do every 4th of July. It's so appreciated, the efforts that everybody puts in, and I can't thank everybody enough before it even happens. I do need to put a shameless plug in, since I'm a member of the Lynn Haven Rotary, that the pancake breakfast is right here in the senior center on 4th of July morning, and we're up at 4 a.m. making pancakes and sausage, and everybody who's coming out for the parade or getting on a float is welcome to come. So also I'd like to thank of course our first responders, but mainly all of our first responders in our county. I don't know of another time when we had to deal with so many senseless deaths in our waters. It's been a rough month, and I feel my heart goes out to all the families, I mean, I've lived here a pretty long time, since the early 90s. I've never seen a string like this, I just wanted to publicly say that my heart goes out to everybody who's involved with any of that, and we can't stop being vigilant about protecting the waters when people shouldn't be in them. I mean, if it happened here in Lynn Haven, it'd be devastating, but it's happening right around the corner, and down our beaches. So, but God bless the people who get in there and do what they have to do to help people. So that's it. That's my report, and thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody who's here and caring enough to participate in our meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Ward.
Yes, last week I attended the grand opening of Panama Cool Heating and Cooling. It's a new business, air conditioning business opened up right off of 77. That was pretty enjoyable. I got the pleasure of going to the skate park over in Panama City just to get an idea of, what it's like. I've never seen it. And when I went over there, there was about 6 people there. And I watched them for a while, and then I went and I approached them and I asked them, how many people normally come to this? And I guess it's usually quite a few people, but when I went, it was pretty hot time of day. And they said, yeah, as it gets later in the day, you'll see more and more people out here. And I asked them, I said, if Panama City were to do this again, is there anything you would change? And they said, no, it pretty much has everything a normal skate park has. The only recommendation they made was it'd be bigger because there are times that there's a lot of people there. And then I went and checked the one at Panama City Beach, and yeah, that one's pretty big. I think that one cost about $2.2 million. And it's funny because I went over there, and the same person I saw at the Panama City one was at the Panama City Beach one. And I said, what are we doing here? He goes, I'm just making my rounds. And so I talked to him for a little while. So it's pretty popular, and it's not just young people either. There's older people that do it, which surprises me. I got out there and do it, I'd probably break a hip or something. So I just thought it was important to go look at it and kind of get an idea of, what the skate parks are about and that. But keep in mind that there's still a lot of things that we have to look at before we make any decision if Lynn Haven will do a skate park in the future. So, but it's being looked at. One of the things I've been working on for quite a while is with Moa Highlands and Andrews Park. You have houses that that are right next to the ones at Moa. I shouldn't say right next to, but the ones at Andrew Park, they sit up kind of higher, and especially the ones on Dundee, they feel like they lost a lot of their privacy since that developed went in, and rightfully so. I feel them, and so I've been working with Chris Forehand at Panhandle Engineering, saying, is there any way we can get some trees in there, maybe create a little bit of privacy? And he coordinated with D.R. Horton, and we had a couple meetings, and I just got it today that they're going to put up, I never heard of them before, but they're called Green Giants. But reading them, they're very good at creating almost like a privacy fence. And their mature height's somewhere between 30 to 50 feet, and the mature width is anywhere from 12 feet to 20 feet. And they're really easy to take care of, low maintenance, and I'm hoping, he said when they get them, they're going to be about 5 feet tall, and they'll probably grow about 2 feet a year, so they're supposed to be a fast-growing tree. So I'm hoping that that'll create some privacy between those houses and Andrew Park. So, and that's all I have. Thank you. And of course, thank you to all the staff, first responders, and dispatchers.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Vandergrift.
I also toured the wastewater treatment plant, and I'm over 70 years old, and I've never given it much thought about when I flush the toilet. What goes in, what goes out, and where it goes. But in the process of treating the sewage, there's a cost, there's certification, there are requirements that we have to fulfill. I mean, even the reclaimed water that we were using in our city to water the lawn, we want that clean. Whatever is sent out into the bay, which is very little, and we're very lucky, as a matter of fact, that Lynn Haven is in a position where they don't have to put so much into the bay, because the federal government is even, cranking down, and so they're far ahead of where a lot of people are. But I was very impressed, the people that have the certifications and manage that facility. It's a pretty amazing facility. Actually now when I flush the toilet, I think about that. The same thing about when I toured the water department and the various individuals that work there. We're fortunate, and I keep saying that in Lynn Haven, that we have very qualified individuals working in our departments, and I thought that all along, but as I'm becoming more familiar with the processes, I truly believe that to be true. This past week I went out to Frank Brown Park. One of my granddaughters was in a swim meet, and that's what grannies do. But I was looking at the facilities for families out there, and I would like for us to aim for a lot of family activities, even more so than what we have. I mean, our sports park is beautiful, but I think we need even more. That place was packed, and it wasn't just tourists. The tourists were at the baseball fields, but playing in the pools and the game areas were families, and that's what we want. We want to provide opportunities for our families to play together. We've lost that somehow in society, playing together. So that's it.
All right, thank you. City Manager.
Kiki. Good evening. Questions about the warrant list? Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, the pickleball courts did open this weekend, and they have been busy ever since we opened them up. We're so happy that the residents are enjoying them, and I think it's going to be a great sport, like many of you said, for everyone, and so we're pretty proud of those. We did do another tree giveaway last week. Of course, our goal is to try to give away at least 1,000 trees per year. That's just to replenish Hurricane Michael, and I think that the residents are doing a great job coming out and getting the trees in and replanting them in their yards. So for 4th of July is really on the horizon. We have a total of about 75 applicants, participants, and it's going to be amazing. It keeps continually gets larger every year, and so we're pretty excited about that. There will be a surprise that will come along in the next couple of days, and we'll be announcing that as well. But we're pretty much ready for July 4th, and we hope you all attend. The opening ceremony begins at 8:30 a.m. on 9th in Ohio, and the parade will start on on 5th Street at 8:45, because I don't know if you guys know it, there's a whole nother parade that happens on 5th Street, and then they'll turn on 77 for the parade. So it's a great day. It's hot, but we're pretty excited about it taking place. Just a couple other things. The AU won today. As you know, we sent some teams to the World Series, and we reported back today that AU actually won. The 8U actually won. We have 2 other teams that are playing, and they can lose a game and then get back into the brackets. So we're pretty proud that the All-Star teams are going this year for the first time since Hurricane Michael and doing some great stuff. So we're cheering them on. The Director of Sports and Recs is there, and he's kind of giving us a play-by-play everything that's going on. Also, I just wanted to make sure there was something about I think Ms. McElroy talked about the $5 million to let, as we talked about in Finance Committee, there is a kind of a project that's going on with the FBI as well as the city to recover some of that money, that $5 million. FEMA is going to allow us to put a lot of that back into their queue to look at some of those invoices and tickets to see if those are, some of them are worth being reimbursed for. So we're going to send all of that back to FEMA. We never put any of that in there, and they've asked us to do that, and we just have to send a letter along with all of the documentation. And we hope to get some return on that as well. The second part of that, there is a restitution that is really initiated by the FBI. So they take all of the equipment, everything that was confiscated during that time, they'll sell it, and then they will give that money to the victim, which of course is City of Lynn Haven. So we're actually waiting on that as well. So yes, we are working on several ways to attain additional money.
Thank you. City Attorney.
I sent you guys an email today on the comprehensive plan. You know, every 7 years we have to do the evaluation and appraisal report, and I did get confirmation that the deadline of February 1st, 2024 is just to notify DEO whether we need amendments or not, which I think we do. But and then once you do that notification, then you'll have a year to actually transmit those amendments. So Amanda was happy to hear that. It'll give you guys more time to identify we need to do amendments and actually work on them throughout next year. So I was able to confirm that.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions for the City Attorney? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Approval of minutes for 5/23/23 regular meeting minutes. Approval of residential incentive program application 903 Arkansas Avenue. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Perno, second by Commissioner Vandegrift. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift?
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Mayor Nelson?
Yes, motion passed. Old business discussion only in review of Chapter 8 of the International Property Maintenance Code. We did discuss this on Friday. I know, Commissioner Ward, it was hard for you to sort of hear us. We were talking in code. So is there any questions that you had, anything you want to add to it?
I went back and listened to it online, and it made sense what Charles was talking about.
Yeah.
So I think the question is, we kind of need to see the final product. Do we do like we did with Chapter 4 through 6 and just kind of make it that language, or do we just like cut and piece it, to what we want?
So that will be staff that'll update that for us, and then we'll go back and review the language to see if that's how we want it to read.
Yep.
And so we'll take, I believe it was it the end of August that we asked for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the end of August we asked for that. Of course, we go into budget in September, and so we might briefly review it. So it may be November, December before we actually really bring it before the citizens for us to vote on. So it's not going to be anything we're going to vote on in September, I don't think. So to give us more time to still review it again, and that way we can see if everything is the way we want it before we present it back to the citizens. All right. Anything else on that one? Number 11, discussion and possible approval of bid 22-2314 commercial solid waste collection contract to the lowest bidder, Waste Pro. We did have some discussion on this on Friday. Are there any additional questions for Mr. Baker?
Anything?
Anything from the commission?
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I mean, the young lady spoke in public commentary, and I know this is RFP. Would you just give an overall explanation of the process?
Yeah. Well, what's before you is the commercial solid waste, which is the dumpsters for the commercial business. We put it out for bid. We received 6 bids. I guess 2 of them were declared non-responsive. Is that right, Kevin? And so we had our staff committee of 3 people review the 4 that were submitted to us, and Waste Pro had the highest grade. It's based on equipment and time in service and a lot of different criteria to make it up.
Right, yeah, you take, price would be the most, 40 points for price, and then you rank them Next would be your personnel and your equipment. Next would be experience and history. Then you've got quality assurance and responsiveness to the RFP. So you take the team, the evaluation team takes those and ranks them, and you add it all up, and that's where you get those the 294 numbers and things like that.
I just want it to be said, that's all, just
Right.
stated in public versus, you know, and I appreciate what you guys do when you get these things. I know we looked at one that the price was different, but performance was, you know, and the landscaping one, I know we went back and forth about that one. So I'm just, I just rather we state how y'all get about doing it. So, and go ahead, Mr. Wark.
My question is this typically how other municipalities do it?
Yeah, you'll come up with the points and the scoring criteria. Obviously, the evaluation committee meets, they rank them, and then it's ultimately your decision. What that committee does is makes a recommendation to you and says, okay, here's who we have as 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Have you ever seen it where they give you each one gives you a presentation and then you decide on that?
Yeah. We've done that in different cities. It just depends on what the service is, and sometimes you see that like from insurance brokers and stuff because it's more of a personality-based thing. We're like a true RFQ.
Right.
Something with price involved. Most times the cities are going to go with the lowest price. But yeah, I've seen it. It's not common. Every couple of years you might get one where you'll get 2 or 3 presentations.
But typically you don't see you don't typically see a presentation for a bid like this, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, any additional questions?
I have one. Is it, there is a timeline for submitting the RFP?
Yes.
Okay. Non-responsive, can you define that?
Well, I think Kevin can. It's if they didn't fill out the application correctly.
It could be any number of things. One of them, I'm not sure why it was non-responsive. If you're missing a form, that sort of stuff. The other one,
Addendums.
Yeah, missing addendums.
Non-responsive means that there were some things that they overlooked in that particular RP. So for instance, on the first page it says, these are required forms. These are usually required by the state, public entity, drug free, all of those things there. Say for instance, someone forgets one. That's called non-responsive because that's part of the required. It says there, these forms must come back with your RP. The other one that is required is called an addendum. Say for instance, we want to clarify something, and we want to put that addendum out there so that they can put forth the best bid possible. And then in that addendum, we say, this addendum, and it says in an RFP as well, must be returned with your proposal. And so if that's not returned, that's called non-responsive. If the bid pricing is incorrect, they didn't use maybe the bid form so we could get a clear picture of who is the lowest bidder, that is called non-responsive as well. And so we try to treat everyone the same. Everyone is there looking when you open up the bids. And so you can't treat one better than you do the other if you've asked for those required documents.
I have one
It's
more.
just the term non-responsive is a little,
it can be basically anything that deviates from what's in the 4 corners of that RFP.
okay.
I have one more question. If we're looking at the RFP and the highest score, will this trickle down to higher bills for people for their waste? I just was wondering if things are going to fall in line, or are we expecting to have a rate increase over this?
Average for the previous vendor was about 47,000, 48,000 with some bills. I think former commissioners had asked about why it was, increasing. That lowest bid plus all of their qualification, I think it was somewhere like $47,000 per month. So it doesn't really take.
So it'll fall in line with the current billing.
That's true.
So we have a deadline for this, right?
Yes.
What's the deadline?
They have to be turned over in terms of the folks who won as opposed to the ones that didn't win?
No, as far as awarding this.
Yes.
I think the contract would start August 1.
One, yeah.
So we have to have this done, is there like
Yeah.
30 days prior?
Yes,
Is it-
because they'll have to switch out their cans. and-
Dumpsters.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they
dumpsters
had an
and-
automatic contract renewal, because I know a lot of businesses do that. I know it's in this one.
Yeah. The previous vendor did have an automatic contract renewal, and it was 6 years, and those years were up, so,
Okay.
yes.
So we're within,
We're starting it.
we're getting close to crunch time. We're at.
Yes, sir, we are.
Yes.
Any additional questions? Any commentary from the public?
Good evening. I'm Josh Meharry with BCC Waste. We've had the privilege of serving the city of Lynn Haven for the past 6 years. The conversation that was just being had on unresponsiveness is why I'm here. We did turn a bid in, and as the attorney just laid out here, price being the biggest, and the last thing he listed was responsiveness to the RFP. We are locally operated and run here out of the city of Lynn Haven. The owner of the company lives here in Lynn Haven. Like I said, we've serviced y'all for 6 years. We have not had the first complaint. We've never been called in to say to me that there needs to be any issues over service. We built relationships, talking with people out, business owners. You know, they're very happy. I'm here because Waste Pro was not the lowest bidder. BCC was, to the tune of a difference of $12,000 a month. Which obviously if you keep doing math, that's $145,000 a year almost to about $345,000 over the 3-year term. The reason that I have been given today as to why we were considered unresponsive was how we filled out the pricing. So I'm grabbing that sheet right now. So there were 2 pricing pages. The first one basically asked for the unit price, which is each container, how many times a week, what it is. So that's what we have here. The second page has monthly cost and total cost. So under monthly cost, we put the total monthly amount by doing the multiplication right here that it had. For total cost, we put the annual amount. Well, we found out after we turned the bid in, what they were looking for in the total cost was the monthly cost. I sent an email immediately explaining, hey, we misunderstood the wording, but the column you're looking for to tally up is right here under monthly cost. And they said, okay, we understand. And the bid was tallied. Like I said, we were offering a cost savings, so we've been at about $47,000. We looked at it, we could do it for cheaper going forward, and we wanted to extend the contract. We want to keep working with y'all. We wanted to extend the contract. But we also wanted to offer some tremendous cost savings where we could in a time where no prices are going down. So we felt we would offer that. With that said, section 1.5 of the RFP reads, the city reserves the right to accept and reject any or all proposals or to waive any informality existing in any proposal or to accept the proposal which best serves the interest and intent of this project. I think it goes without saying that offering your constituents $145,000 a year savings on your garbage collection service does have a lot of the best intent for them. We have spoken with business owners, and they are very...
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional public commentary? Yes, ma'am.
Because I've participated in a number of city and county meetings over the last 12 years or so, I'm not trying to say that the friendly attorney is incorrect, but generally speaking, when it comes to garbage, because it's almost as important as water, how your garbage moves, I've seen a number of presentations from the different companies so that you have all the information, because if things go wrong, it's the commissioners that generally get the calls. So a rating sheet is great, but having open meetings, because garbage is so important, you generally get a lot of citizens show up because they want to understand who's going to come in once a week and take care of them.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ralph Mills. I'm the Senior Vice President for Waste Pro. First of all, what you just were talking about was individual residential. This is commercial contract. We have brand new equipment ready to go. We have brand new dumpsters ready to go. We're ready to hit the ground running. We've got a very good track record here in Bay County. We've been here since probably 2005, 2006. The young lady that was up here before talking about being here 30 years started out in Nate's Sanitation, then somebody else bought the company. Now Coastal has the company. So to make a comment to say we've been here 30-something years, that's not entirely correct. But anyway, regardless, I just want to say we stand ready to go. We've got all the equipment ready to go, and new truck and all new containers. So we're ready to hit the road running if we get the chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary? Any more discussion from the commission?
So is this something that gets reviewed by the attorney? The bidding, does that get reviewed by the attorney?
Well, in this instance, when we got the email from BC, well, the city got the email from BCC where it said, it's come to our attention that we filled the form out incorrectly, then we had to review it. And we looked for, and again, I think nobody's had any complaints with BCC. The city has been happy with them, or our commercial businesses have been happy with them. You are allowed to waive minor irregularities when it's in the best interest of the city.
Right.
And at the same time, if you deviate from the RFP, it's non-responsive. And so we looked at this, and the way the price was annualized, if you kind of compared apples to apples, it would almost look like you're doing $500,000 a month as opposed to $40,000 a month. So, we looked at that and said, I don't know, I wouldn't say that's a minor irregularity. If you go down that road, then you're going to be facing a protest from the second guy or the third guy. So, but yeah, we did look at that.
Because I talked to the city manager actually right before the meeting about this, and one of the questions I had was, well, when they make a mistake like that, can we send it back to them? And legally, we can't do that, correct?
Right. No, you can't change your submittal after.
And the other thing was the statement that his bid was actually lower than the others. That's not true, is it?
No, because we could not in any way tell what his bid was. It was $574,000. So it is not the city's responsibility to go back and divide and say what he meant.
Right.
We have to get those bids in and what people actually bid. And he's right. If we do something different, then yes, there's going to be a bid protest. We try to be fair to everyone. And so if they are turning in the right documents, following the RFP like they should, there should be no problem.
So, with that being said, I'm not saying we should be doing this, but let's just say the commission said, you know what, we want to keep BCC. That would open us up to a lawsuit because then we didn't do everything legally, right?
Well, I mean, you guys can sit here and make a determination that the error in the scoring sheet is a minor irregularity and we're going to waive it and that's in the city's best interest. But yeah, it would at least open you up to a bid protest from the next bidder. I don't know if it would rise to a lawsuit. They would protest and we'd have to figure that out.
What happens when they protest?
A lawsuit.
Is that what happens?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, one thing is you get these protests, okay, we'll throw it all out and rebid. That's one solution. We don't really have time for that if we've got the contract ending. So your most common answer to that, a bid protest, is we throw them out and start over.
Okay, thanks.
All right, is there a motion from the commission?
I'll make the motion.
To do what?
To give the bid to Waste Pro.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Peebles. City Manager, if you call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno, Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. Agenda item number 12, discussion and possible approval of change order number 1 for project 22041, an amendment to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection Vulnerability Study Grant Agreement. Director of Economic Development. Any questions for Mr. Jenke we discussed this Friday. Any additional questions? All right. Any comments from the public? For this agenda item? I was going to ask my response. No, sir. All right. Is there a motion from the commission?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Perno. City Manager, call the vote.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peebles,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandegrift,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed. First reading only of ordinance 1155, TECO Natural Gas Franchise Agreement. City Manager, if you read this by title only, please.
An ordinance of granting to the People's Gas System Incorporated its successors and assigns a non-exclusive natural gas franchise agreement to use the public right-of-way of the city of Lynn Haven, Florida, and prescribing the terms and conditions under which said franchise may be exercised, making findings, providing an effective date, and replacing prior ordinances.
All right, City Attorney.
Right, well, this is first reading. We'll get it advertised and bring it back, but this is our gas franchise with TECO's predecessor is about to expire. It was a 30-year franchise. You'll see those kind of like with Gulf Power or other utility providers. This is just a 30-year renewal, and the franchise fee goes from 5% to 6%, which is in line with what they're doing in other cities throughout the state.
Okay. Any questions from the public about agenda item number 13? Any additional questions from the commission? If not, thank you. Meeting adjourned.